that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, hello, wonderful family. How are you? A bit windy where you are, a bit wet where you are. Maybe it's not either, and you've had a beautiful day. Congratulations to you if that is, in fact, the case. Around here, bit wet, bit windy. We'll get into that very soon. G'day to my mate Spazza, who was first in the room tonight. Well done, brother. Congratulations. I'm not sure if you weren't first in last night. I've got a vague idea. I saw you if you weren't in first, you were close to the top. I owe you a phone call. I know things have just been a bit crazy, and I'm guessing they're probably a little crazy in your part of the world too. You'll be getting a bit of this wind. The lovely Aussie Sue is second in-house tonight, followed by Paul and the Sabinator, who I dare say will be sitting in far north Queensland, because I'm pretty confident that's the area the Sabinator comes from, or well, at least in that general direction. So this Category 2 cyclone that's currently affecting the southeast corner of Queensland, I think, is being viewed by many far north Queenslanders as a bit of a yawn, and probably for good reason. But this cyclone is a bit different, even to maybe some of the ones that have happened in far north Queensland. I'm no expert, and I'm sure you guys will straighten me out. DB, nice to have you in the room tonight too, mate. Yes, still with you. Trials, tribulations. In the last half hour or so, I've had, I don't know, it's weird. I'm not quite sure how to put it. Sort of like it's weird. I was expecting a kick in the guts, and you get a kick in the guts, and then it makes you feel a bit differently than you thought it was going to make you feel. However, other than that, no tree on the bus yet. Life, the universe, and everything progresses and does very well. Sunflower, God love you and Rick. I hope you're not trading these lurgies between the two of you. Stop swapping spit, you know. It can happen that way, you know. So I don't want to. I think everybody knows that Sunflower had pneumonia. There's been a bit of a carry-on from that, which is a tad unfortunate, but she says she's getting better, so God love you. And the weather report from up her way is not much rain, not much wind. In fact, all systems go, go, go. I think as this evening progresses, things will get a little bit more blowy in your part of the world, and certainly the waves are where the action is. Everybody hears the word cyclone and they think huge winds. Well, a Category 2 cyclone has got winds of sort of around 120, 125 kilometres an hour. And to be honest, most things stand up to that pretty easily. We've had days where you've had big winds like that before. It's just that they're naming this as a cyclone, and rightly so, because it has this turning motion. However, it is one of the weirdest cyclones I've ever tracked, ever. Weird. Brett Leonard, good to have you in the house too, mate. And the lovely Michelle Bradley Smith has joined us as well, another one of our admins. G'day, Norse. G'day, Andrew. G'day, whoever else I saw pop in here. Margot. There you go. I was sort of right. The Sab is in far north Queensland. A Category 2 cyclone comes up here, and it wouldn't get as much media at all. I know. The media are certainly hyping this thing up, aren't they? Too buggery. I saw a dripping wet. Now, I've got to be honest, I have not turned on mainstream media breakfast television in years. And I turned on and got a dripping wet Matt Shervington standing somewhere at Burleigh on the Gold Coast this morning. Somebody else told me that a rather dishevelled and fat-looking Karl Stefanovic had taken video of the place he was staying at somewhere down at Tweed where the windows were shaking in the high rise at whatever time in the morning. So they're making it as dramatic as they possibly can. And that's why they like putting reporters out in the middle of it. Pardon me. And I'm not sure because I didn't watch any of the coverage, but I would be surprised if Channel 7 didn't, or Channel 9, because he's not contracted anymore. I would be surprised if either one of them didn't elicit the talents of Paul Burt, who is a former Channel 7 weather reporter. And they sacked him, I don't know, 12 months ago, or a bit over 12 months ago. Not because he did anything wrong, but because they were cutting costs and going mad. Bertie's got a good little charter fishing business, amongst other things, here on the Gold Coast, and quite the little media personality. And he's the kind of bloke who loves getting in front of a camera and walking out into a Category 3, 4, or 5 cyclone. He is quite famous for doing it. I think it was in Townsville with one of the cyclones a few years back. So they wheeled him out. Or I'd be amazed if they didn't wheel him out today in some way, shape, or form, and have him standing in a very windy position shouting into a microphone. It all makes for much dramaticness. And look, the winds are strong. If I go to, I'll share something with you right now. There we go. So there is the latest on what's going on with Windy. And it's saying at the moment where I put that little cross, I think if you can see that little cross. So this little cross now is, I hope, now it's disappeared, the little cross. Don't you hate that? This is me trying to be really, really good. Oh, it's telling me to download the app for some reason. 32 knots. There we go. That's what I'm trying to get. So 32 knots just off the coast of Surfers Paradise and just inland 27. If we come into sort of whereabouts, Canungra, my part of the world, it'll come up in a second with a little bit of luck, or it's given up. But it's not terribly windy out here. Oh, there you go, 19 knots. Now, if you don't know about knots and how fast a knot is in kilometres per hour, I asked a man around here who has a great deal of knowledge about all things, and he reliably informs me that it's around nearly 3 kilometres an hour to a knot. So if you're getting 36 knots of wind, you're looking at winds of just over 100 kilometres an hour. And yes, that is pretty strong. If you've got stuff lying around the backyard, it will blow around, it will smash into your house and do damage. However, unless it's parachute-like, it's not going to be lifted out of your yard and thrown hundreds of metres or kilometres away, although there is potential for that. So that's why we prepare. Do people need to go out panic buying? Well, there is an argument that says you should always be prepared. Batteries and the essentials, beer, I think is probably high on most Queenslanders' list. I don't have one in the bus. Don't have a scotch either, for that matter. Oh, well, I have to go without. Quite fearful. Yes, you have a bunch of essentials that you probably need. I don't know that toilet paper needs to be rationed again. By Tuesday, we're expecting no wind and beautiful skies, and we'll be able to get fully into the cleanup, which will be hot, sweaty work because no doubt the sun will come out. It will be 30 plus degrees, and all the moisture that's been going into the ground for the last week is going to start getting sucked back out of it again. And that will be particularly unpleasant to work in. But welcome to Queensland at this time of year. Okay, unusual to have a cyclone at this time of year, I will admit. But this is a very unusual cyclone. It doesn't know where it's going, where it wants to go, or how it's going to get anywhere. In fact, I worked today for a number of hours to show you the exact plot that this bloody thing has taken. It hasn't been an easy thing at all. Now, the different colours indicate different wind speeds and directions of travel time. So the green indicates it's going really, really fast. It was moving like 17 to 25 kilometres an hour. The red Well, that sort of indicates it's moving really, really slowly, anywhere under 5 kilometers an hour. And the blue, well, that just says it's a bit in the middle. It's sort of 10 to 12, maybe 15 knots. And the purple, I just put that in because apparently if you put purple into things, it makes people happy. I don't know, folks. That is a beyond pathetic natural cyclone. It is an extremely interesting man-made one. And there is a high that's pushing up out of the Tasman, and that just happens to be coming in the direction of Norfolk Island. Now, there was a mistake made the other day. Mainstream media managed to capture that beam. Now, I know, pain in the ass with that arrow in the middle of it, but this was all I was sent. It was a screenshot. Now, we know where that circle is, that beam. We know what those beams are. We've seen those beams over the continent of Australia in various different places at various different times. We've also seen those beams used off far north Queensland in various different major weather events. And sometimes those beams are emanating from, the seas off Fiji or out the other side of Vanuatu. And I've talked to you before about how in this weather modification war, what they are doing is using something called an ionospheric heater to heat up the stuff that has been sprayed into our atmosphere by those aircraft that all the deniers claim aren't spraying anything. Pardon me. And they heat, that gets mixed into the atmosphere. And then because of what there are, like there's aluminium, there's barium, there's all sorts of things that do react to heat. And what happens when you heat something up? Well, it generally rises and it can change its properties. And they have the ability, using these sorts of beams, to hold weather systems and to propel them into changing directions. Now, I am unsure whether or not Atmospherica are involved in any of this technology. Atmospherica being the company that I spoke about last night, an Australian company who I think comes from out the back of Toowoomba. I want to say Oakey, but let me say Toowoomba. And David Miles, the man in charge, is a very, very, very clever scientist, and he was part of the CSIRO for many years until he saw the light and decided to get away. Unfortunately, I think he told a few too many truths about the CSIRO, and a lot of his work is suppressed or laughed at because he literally has been on the edge of weather intervention strategies, is how they like to refer to it. And while what they do is kept very quiet, pardon me, very secretive, I can tell you that there was a small amount of detail released during the test that was the Atmospherica intervention into the hurricane that went over the Florida Panhandle a little while ago and came through the Gulf of Mexico, America, depending on which side of the fence you're standing on. That involved firing some kind of missile into the heart of what I want to say at the time was a Category 4 building Category 5 hurricane, a massive storm. They fired this missile into the heart of that. I think it was the night before it was due to hit the Florida coastline. And within a very short period of time, dispersed enough of it to have the thing downgraded to, if it wasn't Category 2, it may have been Category 1, if not as it crossed the coastline or shortly afterwards. Now, it would be rare that a big Category 5 storm like that or a big Category 4 storm like that would dissipate immediately. They will go inland and then they do break down, but they'll go inland a ways before they get down to a tropical rain depression, as they're known after they break up. So mainstream media by accident maybe managed to get one of those beams in their view, which is interesting. Now, I'm not sure that lady, she may well have been this presenter here. It is a lady. I don't know. I think it could be the ABC. So these days you can't tell. I'll just say They, is that all right? They might work at the bomb. A lot of these weather presenters do on television or have had histories there. There are two people who've been working at the bomb for some time who won't be working at the bomb anymore, at least not for a very long time. Now, that went weird for a minute. This came from Senator Gerard Rennick. The cyclone's taking a bit longer to get here, but still expected to be a Category 2 at this stage, so it'll be still full on. We can only hope the damage is minimal. Estimates are that it'll arrive late tonight, early Saturday. Well, now they've pushed that back. It's Saturday, late Saturday morning or into Saturday afternoon. Anyway, it has been unveiled that employees of the Bureau of Meteorology have been using the bomb's supercomputer to mine cryptocurrency. You can't make this stuff up. The cryptocurrency, the hypocrisy of this is unbelievable. Mining crypto uses an enormous amount of electricity. The annual electricity consumption dedicated to Bitcoin mining is comparable to that of Poland. I mean, I know it takes a lot of power, but I didn't think it was, wow, I had no idea it was that much power. 2 Bureau of Meteorology employees are being investigated by the Australian Federal Police for allegedly running an elaborate operation involving the use of the Bureau's powerful computers to mine cryptocurrencies. That's the ABC telling us that. My God, their heads must be spinning have to talk about this. Federal police officers executed a warrant in Melbourne at the headquarters, and they spoke to 2 IT employees. They locked all the others up in a conference room while they spoke to the others. And at the moment, charges are, certainly by the look of it, pending. But by the sound of it, they're trying to track it down. Illicit use of a supercomputer at your boss's place. Yeah, it's lost my picture again. Illicit uses, not good. I'm going to change pictures. I'm going to put that one up, and I'm going to pop out and come back again. Give me a moment. And we're back. Yes, not quite sure what's going on. Vince seems to think it's a bug in the browser. I just think it's a bee in the bonnet. But whatever it is, it's a pain in the ass, and we are endeavouring to fix whatever that little issue is. Did I have much else to tell you? Well, yes, today, when we woke up today, when I say we, it was me, nobody else. I don't know why I say we. There is no queen about me. It's my queenie wave. I did jump out of bed immediately, though, and think, oh, how exciting. I might get a chance to pick up the chainsaw and do a bit today. Who knows what fell out of which tree, or in fact, maybe which tree fell where on the property overnight, and expected there was probably going to be a little bit. And I was right. There was a little bit. This one fell across the road, so that one got sawed up. Anton did the sawing this morning, which was very good of him. This one too, and this was another big branch. Now, these don't necessarily look like huge or heavy branches, I'm sure, but if your car was going underneath that at the moment, put a pretty big dent in it, and if you happen to be walking underneath it, it would put a pretty big dent in you too. And some of these things are turning into spears, which is not very pleasant at all. They were the only real breakages that we had, and I've got to say that the work that the team has put in over the last best part of 3 days now has been amazing. The trench work that Dwayne has done is saving our roads, and that's a very important thing around here. A lot of money has been spent on those roads over time, and the water can be very damaging. So we want to keep as much of it away from damaging things as we can, and you learn over time where it goes. And with the rain levels predicted to fall with Cyclone Alfred, which we don't think we're going to get, I'll be honest, predicting tomorrow morning by 10 a.m. on the windy rainfall map, if you can trust it, about 2 inches or a little under 2 inches at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then it's only predicting less and less from there on. So the cumulative total or cumulative totals of weather over the last 3 days, or maybe the next 2 ahead of us, will be large, really, really large. There'll be areas that have had huge dumps of rain, and I don't want to suggest for a moment that there is no danger involved. There is, and some people close to our hearts have already had some issues today with their house letting water in through the roof. So Dwayne and I went in to help there too, and took the chance that the roads would still be open heading from here down into the coast. And luckily they were. We were able to, or we think we've been able to fix the water issue in a temporary kind of fashion. I guess it really does depend how strong the winds get and whether or not we do get a metre of rain, as some people have predicted. It's certainly possible. And this system is moving very, very slowly. So the problem with that is we expected overnight not to pick up any speed, and still may stall. And this could continue, this sort of rain could continue through until Monday or Tuesday of next week, when the system finally reaches landfall and starts to break up. But it will be a massive rain depression then as well. But because we will have had, 6 days of this solid kind of rain, that it's just steady rain where we are, but it makes it very slippery. Speaking of very slippery places, I imagine when they get a lot of rain in their part of the world, it does get a bit slippery there too. And there are some slippery characters that get very interested in the destinations of these wonderful animals that I'm about to share with you. If you've been watching the show this week, you'll know that Monday and Tuesday I was on the road and couldn't do shows, but I was able to spend Monday night with Sandy and Bazz from the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. And I did promise that I'd give you a bit of a look around if I got there. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. And well, welcome to the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, and to Sandy, one of our great family members. Hello, Sandy. Thank you for having me overnight at your magnificent property and with all your little charges around here.
Thank you, Carl. It was great to have you here.
Well, I slept like the dead in your bunkhouse, so that bed is so comfortable and so warm. I was blown away. So can you just explain to us where we are on the sanctuary at the moment?
Yeah, we're actually in the ICU or hospital, and currently have, I think it's 18 in our hospital at the moment. Here I've got the one I'm patting. This is Martina. She's very, very special to everybody, and everybody loves Martina. She's now probably in her early 40s, and sadly over the last few years she's gone blind. But she's she finds herself around. She stays here because it's the safest spot for her, and also loves to get attention, this one. And then next we have with her, this is Ange. Ange is also a long-term resident. She's been with us for maybe 20 years, but she's normally in the herd, but she has got a foot abscess. So that's why she's in here. And donkeys are prone to foot abscesses when it's wet weather.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so...
because they're a dry land animal, really.
Yeah, they're a desert animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so they don't like the rain. They actually don't have the necessary oils in their coat to protect them from the rain, like horses and cattle. and they can easily get rain scald, which therefore they lose their hair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you've got to have a dry area for donkeys when it's bad weather. And I'm not just saying trees as a shelter. You need an actual shed shelter of some sort, or stable or anything like that for them. But she's fine. And having a foot abscess, it generally comes from them galloping around the paddock, and they might have stepped on a stick or a rock, which has caused a bruise, and therefore has increased into an abscess.
Yeah, right.
So you just change that every couple of days properly with a poultice. That was actually done yesterday. So that doesn't need doing again until tomorrow. But she's out of it. It has blown now, so she's out of it. That's out of it now. Next we have Midnight, this chocolate boy. He's a darling. He's also a long-term resident here. He's probably in his early 40s as well. He's in here because he's got shocking arthritis in his hip.
Oh.
Now, we've got to keep the weight off him, so he's not got a lot of weight on the arthritic hip.
Yeah.
But you can see in his back here how he's slightly elevated near the rump.
Yeah.
That means has some pain. So we manage that with special medications for him, pain relief, and then we have a chiropractor and a equine therapist that comes and does work to him every week.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Now, to help him with his movement, you'll see that there's a small board in his yard. That's just to help him lift that leg a bit instead of him dragging. So he gets slight exercise with that. But he's doing fine. He's a happy boy, very happy boy. The next one's Edie Bouquet. She's another donkey that's aged. I call these the golden oldies. You know? So she has arthritis as well. Right. So both these two donkeys have a special feed to help counteract that. Right. You know, and to maintain their. Also, she's another one that we've got to keep on the slim side. Although she's got a very big belly. Haven't you? Oh, darling. She's a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart. And then down the bottom is a variety of different donkeys with different ailments. Basically, they're all aged. Probably the youngest one here would be about 35 in this crew. And they've all got either dental issues, arthritic issues, or just old.
Yeah.
And then they get a special feed every day as well. You can see by the feed bins down there.
Yeah.
To our left, you can see 2 mules and a pony. The 2 white ones, and then the speckled one. He's mine, actually, that little pony.
Can you just explain the difference between a mule and a donkey?
Yeah. There's 2 types of mules too.
Okay.
So you've got your common mule. These are both common mules. So their parents were horses, like the mother was a horse, the father is a donkey.
Right.
Then you've got the opposite, which is called a hinny mule. So the mother is a donkey and the father is a horse.
Right. Are the sizes that come out of each one breeding different? Like,
you can get anything from a mini to a mammoth.
Oh, wow, okay.
In a mule.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's the same with donkeys. You can get anything from a mini to a mammoth.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. The biggest donkey we've got is not in this paddock. She's actually in with the horses. She's 14 hands high, which is with a height about here, roughly.
Stand back and try and get that.
Yeah. So where her wither is, shoulder, she's about that high.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah. And then the smallest can be down here.
Well, you've got some miniatures.
We do.
Yeah.
Want to go and have a look at them?
Yeah, let's go and have a look at them.
All right, that sounds good. Well, we'll go and have a look at the minis next. But yeah, these are all get special feed every day and special attention.
So special feed usually comes with a special price.
Not wrong there.
Now, you, like me, work on donations. So explain to us what the special diet means. It's not just a matter of getting a bale of hay.
No. No, and they can't have lucerne hay either.
Right, okay.
So we have a lot of people wanting to donate lucerne hay, but donkeys can't have lucerne. It's too rich for them.
Right.
So being a desert animal, they're used to roughage, and their main source of diet is actually straw.
Right.
So you can't feed a donkey horse feed. They just can't stomach it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's straight away you're going to end up with donkeys that can have colic, laminitis, which is a hoof condition,
Yep.
and even possible death.
Yeah, right.
So, but the main thing is overweight.
Well, we're going to go and see one of those donkeys
Yeah.
in a minute. Well, it's a graphic example of what overfeeding or badly feeding your donkey can do.
That's right. Yeah, and to change that diet has got to be changed over a very long period of time. You can't just, I get a donkey in that's lived on things like bread, cake, scones, which is a huge no-no, and lucerne. I've got to change that diet over a number of, 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So you can't just go and straight away give them straw or like an oaten or wheaten chaff, which is like a white chaff, not a green chaff. Otherwise you'll kill them.
Yeah, right.
So they've got to change it slowly, really slowly, to help their metabolism and all of that, and all their insides work correctly.
So it's, so it's not just a matter of getting whatever you think animals that eat hay eat, because they don't just eat hay.
No,
Yeah.
no. So there's straw, or you can get things like ryegrass, grassy hay, something that's not so rich.
Yep.
Yeah. So our paddocks, for instance, once, we've had a very favourable summer in regards to rain, heat. So our paddocks have been quite green. So we've got to wait till those paddocks die off a little, especially the longer grass paddocks, because the shorter the grass and the greener the grass, the more sugar content it's got in it.
Right.
So we've got to wait for the sun to help dye it off a little bit, and that's what the donkeys love.
Yeah, right.
And if they don't get that, they're going to ring bark your trees and eat your fence posts, because they're trying to obtain that roughage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you've got a donkey at home and you're seeing trees start to get rinbarked, or they're knocking down or eating your fence posts, that's why.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not getting enough roughage.
No. So that's why they should have, like these guys down there now are eating straw.
Yeah.
So their main source of diet is straw, so they've got to have access to straw at all times.
How many donkeys have you got on site at the moment?
102.
Yeah. So each one of them, what's a donkey eat a day?
Oh, well, you could say half a bale.
Yeah, right.
Like a small square bale, half a bale would be on average, if that's all that they were eating, excluding grass, of course,
sure.
right? See the beautiful rainbow?
Oh, yeah.
Someone's watching us. So on average, it probably costs the sanctuary just for hay feed, or regards to straw, our grassy hay, just the bales themselves, and not talking about hard feed, is around $5,000 a month.
Wow. Yeah.
And then hard feed is approximately $2,500 a month.
Wow.
That includes supplements and things like celery seed. So they get celery seed, devil's claw. This is for our old arthritic crew.
Yep.
They also will get MSM, glucosamine, that sort of more herbally things.
Yep.
We're very into the herby things to try and keep it more natural as possible.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And they're obviously not suffering in any way from it. So they're thriving, in fact, if we have a look. I don't think I've seen happier donkeys.
Come and have a look at the little ones. Hi, Caleb.
Hey, Caleb.
So Caleb, who just greeted us, is our newest arrival. Now, as I was just discussing before, he was fed lucerne hay every day for the last 25 years. Now, I'm not sure, I can go in there with him to turn him around. You can come in too. No, you can't come out.
You guys stay.
All right, I got the gate.
Hello.
Well, that's Clinton. He's a naughty boy, but he's all right. See his neck?
Oh, yeah.
Now, he is dangerously overweight. So he was fed lucerne hay and lucerne chaff for the last 25 years. He's been here now for about 3, maybe 4 weeks. So he's only recently come out into this paddock so he can do some grazing. He's got to lose weight. Now, if you notice his neck, he's actually in quite a bit of pain. It's all right, Caleb, darling.
You're all right, mate.
You're all right, sweetie.
Hello, buddy.
So his neck's collapsed completely. You can see how the fat he is.
Yeah.
But it's collapsed. So all his muscle there is pulling that weight down. Now, and he is overweight. We don't know why he's got a dippy back. It could be just from his breeding. However, even if he became skin and bone, that neck will never go away.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so he's going to be like that for the rest of his life,
And,
sadly.
Yeah, and that is his neck, so you can't
Yeah.
surgically remove it,
No.
or the cost would be.
No, yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah.
You just couldn't do it.
No.
But he's a sweet boy. He's getting to learn the ropes with everybody because he was a loner. A dear sweet lady did own him, bought him as a foal 25 years ago, but had no other animals. So he was a very lonely donkey. So he's just getting used to learning about trying to get along with everybody.
herd.
And everybody likes him, but he's terrified of everyone. So he is just learning.
Just in case people are a little confused, let me just turn around here. We are surrounded by donkeys, and this one particularly likes me.
This is Disco. He's a beautiful boy. Okay, Disco was one that's also a recent arrival. He's probably been here about 6 months now. He's only 2-year-old. He's only a baby. However, his owner rang me up one day and said, "Do you take donkeys?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, come and get this one before I shoot him."
Oh, wow.
And look at him. He is the
He's
most
just such a placid boy.
sweetest, beautifulest soul. And I don't understand why people, well, why the hell did they want to get him in the first place?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Exactly.
And he's just so beautiful. But his name's Disco, and his name suits him. That's Pablo. So everybody has a
Pablo.
name here.
That's
Everyone.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
the way it should be.
This is Kong. I don't know if I ever told you the story of Kong and the mule, one of the mules.
No.
In July last year, a couple owned these donkeys near in the Hunter Valley, and the lady went to work, came home and found her husband had committed suicide.
Oh.
He hung himself off the tree in the paddock that this donkey and mule was in.
Oh.
And when she got home,
Just little bite, we're fine.
all she could see was these two just staring at his lifeless body.
Oh, no.
And then 6 months on, the mule and donkey just were so depressed, they were just hanging by the tree every single day and wouldn't go anywhere else. So she couldn't cope living there, of course. She had to sell. And so she wanted these two to come to a special home, so they've
Beautiful.
come to us.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. So very sad situation. They were both very depressed when they came, but they've grown to love
Being around here.
being around here. It's taken their mind off,
yeah,
you know,
and
the
they've got a
tragedy.
herd.
Yeah, that's
you know, to
right.
be part of.
And donkeys have a very good memory. They're very good. They remember everything. So they remember anything that happens to them in a good way or anything that happens to them in a bad way.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And can a donkey repay your unkindness?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have thought so.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Disco, I know I'm very edible, but please, you've already had a good bite
Casper,
on my finger.
Duke, come on.
What about these guys? Hello, you lot. Do you want some love too? Hey, do you want some love too?
Casper, Duke, come on. So they're the minis.
Up the back there.
Yeah, these three little ones.
Hey.
Which are not coming over to say hello. Will you stop nibbling Carl's pants?
Yeah, really likes my pants.
I know. I know. Come on. These are our little boys. We do have another one, but he's in the main herd.
They are tiny.
Yeah,
And these are full grown?
they're full grown. They're probably, God, I think they're about 10-year-old now, these boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Disco certainly likes my pants.
Yes, Disco's.
Followed me all the way over. And here come the other two.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get miniatures? Just from
It's
small
a breed,
donkeys?
yeah. It's just a breed.
Right.
Yeah. They're generally Irish bloodlines
Okay.
or English bloodlines. But yeah, they're so cute.
Look at them.
These are our special little boys. I use these guys for a lot of PR work.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they are so beautiful and so cute, and it's a good attractor,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, kids would just love them. They're like a big dog. Aren't you?
Now,
Except
I don't
you.
hand
Big
feed.
Dango dog.
I never hand feed.
Right.
You shouldn't ever hand feed your animals anyway, any
Okay.
equine really. Because look, at the end of the day, from this part of their muzzle down, they can't see,
Right, okay.
right? They can't see what they're actually eating from that muzzle bit down. So you put out some carrots in your hand and hand it to them like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll take the carrot, but they're going to still continue to chomp, thinking your hand
Your
is
hand
a
is it.
carrot as well.
Yeah.
So it just prevents biting, you
Yeah.
know. Now, some of them do bite because that's all they've been done. You know, people have hand-fed them, so they're used to
Yeah.
grabbing from your hand. But I don't allow it. I usually put anything into a bucket and
Yep.
or a dish
Yep.
and give it to them that way. But another fun fact, donkeys' eyes are on the side of their head.
Yes.
As they're standing here just like that, they can see all 4 feet at once.
Wow.
So there you go.
Hey, Disco. Disco. Bloody jeez. God. Trying to be depanted by a donkey. He's already had a nibble on my finger. And I've got the whole herd come over to see us as well. Hey, Disco, I can see what you're doing. You're sneaky. You're sneaky, you
They're all
bugger.
looking a bit crappy at the moment because we've had wet weather overnight. So they're all muddy and
they're all a bit-
dirty. And
You're all right, aren't you? Look at you all.
then, of course, we've got a few ponies too, as you can see, that are surrounded, that have come in with donkeys generally. So they keep them too. They all stay.
It's just a magnificent part of the world that you have
Thank you.
to
It is nice.
to give these animals just a safe, beautiful place to see out the rest of their days.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandy, for everything that you
That's
do for
all
these
right.
animals.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to everybody for supporting us.
And what we can do is see over your head there a couple of very old floats.
That they are.
Now, what we're trying to do is get you a new float. We're throwing around a few ideas here, but the fact is, if we want to buy you a new float, it's going to be somewhere near close to $70,000. We might be able to build you one for a bit less than that if we can get enough donated supplies. So I'm going to go and try and help you do that,
Thanks, Carl.
and we'll see whether or not we can't get you a new float to help you bring home some of these animals that obviously have had a bit of trauma in their life, or they've just unfortunately outlived their owners. That's the case with some of them,
That's
isn't it?
true.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. A lot of people have passed and then the family have not wanted to take on the donkeys, so they've surrendered them to the sanctuary.
Yeah. So, well,
And
thank
this
you.
is where they live out their lives.
Thank
Yeah.
you and Baz for everything you do. We should point out you do not sell these donkeys
No.
on to anybody. Once they're on the property,
No.
they're here for good.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and we don't tell the location of the property for what reason?
The skin trade. So donkeys are very... China, sadly, has wiped out the entire population of donkeys in most Asian countries. This reason is because there's a special gelatin underneath their hide that they believe is medicinal purposes. Sadly, they have to skin them alive to get. And so donkeys just suffer a horrific death.
Oh, God, yes.
And yeah, look, at the moment there are 4 farms in Australia that are doing this.
Oh, my God, really?
I am in an investigative committee that are trying to find them and fight them, but There's a very prominent Chinese doctor in Melbourne that owns these 4 farms, and once he gets whiff that we're cottoned onto him, he sells up and moves on to another. So apparently there's one in South Australia, one in Victoria, and one in North Queensland, and one in West New South Wales.
So if any of you have any idea where some kind of a donkey processing farm
Yes.
is working, please let me know.
Yes.
And we'll go and pay it a visit.
We will.
Oh, God, I'm just disgusted at the thought of that.
Yeah, so in Australia they're getting around $1,000 a hide.
Wow.
So we do keep the location rather secret.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have visitors, but it's still got to be kept a secret. And
Well, yeah. And you get to choose who comes on your property.
I do.
And if you have any doubts, then you meet them somewhere for a cafe, in a cafe,
right.
don't you? Yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah, no, that's the way it should be. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Sandy, for showing us around and
That's all right.
introducing
Thank
just
you.
some of your charges. Yeah, I know. Yeah. What is it about my tracksuit pants?
I don't know.
Eh? You guys like this? All right, well, I'm going to go and sort myself out with a cuddle of a donkey and probably get my finger looked at because Disco give it a good nibble. And we'll catch you up again shortly. If people want to donate, how do they?
Through our website in donkeyrescue.org.au.
donkeyrescue.org.au.
Yes.
Every shekel goes towards keeping these wonderful animals fed, hospitalled, medicated, and if we can get a few more dollars, we shall get them a new ride as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thanks, Carl.
There you go. Bit of a look at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. And thank you to many of your comments in there. I'm sure Sandy and Bazz, well, I know Sandy's in the room and Bazz will be watching on over his shoulder. So thank you for your hospitality and thank you for everything that you do for those animals. It's just amazing. You would have seen there was a little Shetland pony in the back of one of those shots. There are a number of little horses there as well. And something I wasn't able to shoot because I didn't have a camera with a lens big enough to get them, but there are a couple of wedge-tailed eagles on the property that had a baby, and mum or dad was out teaching the baby how to do a bit of hunting while we were filming that. It was just, truly spectacular. It's a beautiful part of the world, and Sandy and Bazz do an amazing job, and it is all done via donations. So donkeyrescue.org.au, and if you can help in any way, shape or form, if you are able to help financially, that's wonderful. If you happen to be in their area and if you want to seek out that area and you want to volunteer, I'm sure they can always use a few more volunteers on the farm. I got a little bit of a look at just what they've got coming up in the next week or two with things that are required for the donkeys. Where we sat and had dinner was another one of the sheds that you didn't see. And they've got a farrier date coming up. I think it's the 17th of March. Now, farriers are great, but they really cost a few bucks. And when you have 102 donkeys on site, I'm not sure that all of them are going to the farrier, but I would say better than 90% of them are going to the farrier. There is a bit of a cost involved with that too. And as I mentioned, we are trying to help facilitate the buying of or the building of a new donkey transport vehicle, otherwise known as a float. Now, Taylor, who I've spoken about and is here on the property with us, has a number of skills. She knows how to weld. She knows how to fiberglass. When I say knows, Taylor used to work with one of the primo boat manufacturers in this country and has a lot of skills when it comes to fabrication and all that sort of stuff. So Taylor and I would like to be able to go and help build something new if we can't afford to buy something new. And like I say, $68,000 for a horse float. I mean, I've been looking at horse floats a lot lately, pulled up on the side of the road. I got to wonder where $68,000 is. And it's bloody well not in the suspension as far as I can see. At any rate, there are a few things that we're working on in the background that might give us the base to start on. And as you can see, they do have two floats there. One, the white one in particular, is probably a bit dangerous to use. The steel's starting to come apart in places, and it is very, very old. And the bluer one is a little newer, but is also showing signs of its age. I want to say it's 25 years old, the blue one, or will be this year. And its suspension is rock hard, just jammed up. So it's not going nowhere. So it's urgent that we do get something sorted for Sandy and Bazz. And if you can help in any way, shape or form, a donation would be great. If you happen to be a steel, maker or manufacturer or seller, we'd be very interested in doing a deal. And we're going to need a welder. By that, I mean a machine, because, like I say, Taylor has some pretty bloody mean welding skills. She's built herself a couple of boats, just her own. She built a 41-foot steel-hulled boat. And at the moment, she's trying to sell, if anybody is at all interested, I can get you photos. She's trying to sell a little dinghy that she's refurbished. Now, this is a famous sort of dinghy. It's a racing formula dinghy. I don't understand. And she's too shy to come on and tell you herself. But when the big rain stops, we'll take some photos and let you see it. And maybe one of you might be interested in buying it. They're a cheap little way to learn how to sail, and a very safe way to learn how to sail, from what I understand. So, a little bit going on. And I've got to say, had a wonderful time at the sanctuary. Disco did take a liking to me for whatever reason. My pants had a fascination to him for whatever reason, an absolute fascination. And I would like to have shown you a lot more of the miniature donkeys, but if you go back and watch this again and have a good close look at the little insert, we called it, where I put the miniature donkeys in when Sandy first spoke about them and said we'll go and have a look at them shortly. If you pause that and have a zoom in on it, maybe have a closer look, you'll understand that the donkeys were showing themselves a bit more of themselves than was probably good taste for me to show you. So we got a long shot rather than a wide shot, or a wide and long. I'm going to stay away from it. Anyway, bit of fun, folks, bit of fun. Yes, the finger is absolutely okay. That's the one he got. Little bugger. But yeah, got that one, and all good. Only got the very end of it though, which was a bit nasty. But I just love them. They are so nice. There wasn't one, and I'm sure that they do get grumpy, and I'm sure that there are some that are just not interested in people at all. And I didn't meet all 102 donkeys, but every donkey I met was wonderfully friendly. And one of the stories that I didn't put in there because I've got an issue with the audio is, in fact, something I didn't understand about donkeys. Now, you may have noticed in that second segment where we're out in the paddock that a lot of the donkeys look to have sort of like a drip or a stripe going down their shoulder. Well, it turns out that it is the sign of the cross. Every donkey has the sign of the cross on its back. And if you go back again and have a look, you'll see that there is the lighter colored donkeys have a dark crucifix across their shoulders and down the length of their entire back and right up their neck, up into their head. That is because, of course, they are God's animal. They are blessed. Who carried Mary to Bethlehem? So I think I did know that every donkey had a cross on its back before, but I discarded it as a form of information I not need to know. But I find that it is a piece of information I definitely needed to be retold. And I'm so glad that I learned it again with Sandy and Bazz and the team that work at the sanctuary. And please, by all means, you can reach out through the donkeyrescue.org.au website. And I'm sure if you mention Voice of Freedom and you want to call in, you maybe want to volunteer, or you want to make a donation, or you might want to help in bringing some steel and a welder to site, just nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you know what I'm saying? Then reach out through Sandy's website and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, never cross a donkey. Yeah. Simpson's donkey, of course, at Gallipoli. So, yeah, the stories about donkeys and the heroics of donkeys are many, many. So here is essentially what we're looking to try and create by the sound of it. Sunflower's asked the question. Angle 2-horse float with a lot of anchor points and needs to have a solid roof anchor point as well to enable Sandy to put a pulley system in to lift those extremely sick ones. Now, where's my paperwork? Oh, I can't reach it. It's too far to reach. I have a sheath of paperwork that Sandy's given me, and Taylor has been through it. I haven't spoken to Sandy about it, but Taylor basically has gone thumbs up to everything that was on that list, and everything that you outlined is not too difficult. And she has some other ideas she wants to throw past you as well. So we'll hook you two up for a chat in the design phase. But we're looking to start potentially from scratch, potentially with a head start with the base of a large tandem trailer, and working our way up from there. And if you can help in any way, shape or form, I'll be relocating to the Donkey Sanctuary for the process. And so will Taylor, obviously, because she'll find it a lot easier to weld, you know, if she's a bit closer to the metal, I imagine. It's been a while since I've welded, but that's how it used to work for me. All right, folks, it's Friday. It's persistently precipitating outside right now. If I had to count in the old scale, I would say today we have had, well, in the last 24 hours since we last spoke, we've had at least 2 inches of rainfall on the property. If that happened at your place, maybe if you're in the southern states, you'd be horrified and flooded. That's not the case here. While we are getting a lot of water, we are on steep ground, so it flows down. We've got a lot of gullies that it gets into very quickly. So that does escape. However, when we start getting up to 250 plus mils in a dump, that's when things can start getting overloaded, and we're expecting anywhere from 400 millimeters to 1,000 millimeters over the course of the next sort of day and a half. Depends how fast this thing's going to move. Very frightening indeed. What's got an idea? That's maybe something to talk about too, Sandy. I don't know. Sandy and Bazz travel all up and down the East Coast saving donkeys. And they have been known to, well, you know, it's not like they hang out at the motel when they get there. And they stop on the side of the road to have a wee and find stolen or lost animals or discarded animals, like their cat Angel, who I didn't get to see because Kobe the dog was with me as well. And I think the cat decided the better part of valor was keep away. However, the funnel web spider, can't say the same about the funnel web spider, unfortunately. All right, it is a wet weekend, folks. If you are in the southeast corner of Queensland or the northern rivers of New South Wales, my heart goes out to you. I'm thinking about you, and I wish you every safety and speed at making sure this thing doesn't hit you too hard over the course of the next 24 hours. I suspect that this has been engineered to affect the northern rivers particularly. There's going to be a lot of rain falling in the catchment areas for the river systems down there, and we all know where that leads, straight through Lismore. So everybody down that way will be extremely concerned. It's been raining fairly solidly down there since last Tuesday, and the ground is full. Everything's full, and it's just going to keep getting more full. Didn't think fuller was a real word. Dickheads on the road avoid them. See ya.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!